Hey yo, as some of you may already know, 2019 marks the year of the return. That's right. All of our American, Caribbean and Latin American brothers and sisters of African descent, now is the time to go all Nas and belly on them and get your hind behind all the way back to Africa. Well, Ghana if you really want the specifics. It was 400 years ago in 1619 that some of the first African slaves landed on the shores of the United States in Jamestown, Virginia, at the ironically named Point Comfort, boarded a ship carrying more than 20 reportedly pissed off and confused captives, far from home and far from comfort. And it was here that they were taken as indentured servants, not slaves in the traditional sense, to work for the colonies. That's something you don't really hear too often about. There was actually a period of time in American history, a really brief respite if you will, where the roots, 12 years of slave-style slavery, the brutal, savage-ish that you see in the movies, those type of things that put the chattel in chattel slavery, had yet come to pass. In case you didn't know, back then, indentured servants weren't constricted to any particular race. Black servants, alongside white servants, were made to work for their masters for a set period of time, usually for about 5 to 10 years. But after that, you were free. They even gave you money afterwards. Heck, it was during these years that free, former black servants settled down, bought and owned land, and took on indentured servants of their own. Yeah. Awkward. A black slave in 1619 was very different to that of one in 1819 or even one in 1719 because somewhere along the lines, things changed. But enough about that. That's a discussion for another time. We're talking about the year of return here. Still, with all that said, what on God's not so green earth does Ghana have to do with all of this? A lot. That's what. The Portuguese and other European powers were doing the most in Ghana back in the day. Slave forts were erected all across the coast and the country became the go-to spot for trading in human bodies in Africa. I don't care what your 80-pound spit test supposedly tells you about your ancestry. If you black and nearly everyone in your family's got a European sounding surname, odds are that they made an involuntary stop somewhere in Ghana before their journey through the Middle Passage. In the past, Ghana served as one of the most crucial entrepôts of the transatlantic slave trade. And 400 years later, the country wants to reclaim this piece of history, turn it on its head, and use it to bring new meaning and purpose to the third free black nation. Instead of being known as one of the major gathering points for African captives, the Year of the Return is positioning Ghana as a cradle of heritage, self-discovery, and reinvention. It's also a good way of putting Ghana on the map, and for all the right reasons. Don't go on like you haven't seen all of those celebrities streaming on the gram out there. There's also expected to be an upsurge in tourists, especially African American tourists visiting Ghana, all spending their money, filling the Ghanaian government's coffers with valuable foreign currency and taxes, while they meet, greet and close deals with the country's business and political elite over palm wine and whatever Ghanaian traditional dish that I don't know about yet. Watch this space, because it's been over 60 years in the making. They didn't just wake up the other day and decide to put this in motion, and they put money behind this as well. If you can show that you have traces to the African diaspora as a black person in America or the Caribbean, they're going to be shelling out for you. There's land grants, citizenship, everything. They're really putting a lot behind this. And it's the year of return that may be the very thing that takes this country to the next level. And it just lends more credence and impetus to Ghana marketing themselves as a pilgrimage destination of choice to descendants of slaves, not only in America, but across the whole world. All the while building those links to expand investment and foster development across the Black Star Nation as it tries to develop and move further up the value chain, which is where money, expertise and know-how from the black diaspora of the Americas and the Caribbean possibly play a big role in assisting. Thank you for listening. Subscribe and hit us up. Let us know what topic you want us to cover next. We'll get on it.